All right, thank you guys, and welcome to our NBA free pick installment here today for Saturday, January 8th, 2022. I'll tell you what, I'm still feeling great on a Saturday morning because we went 4-1 in our 5 premium sports picks on brockpage.com yesterday. And if you want to see which one of these free YouTube picks on my channel that I'm actually betting on personally, there's only one way to do that, and that's to sign up for a membership on my website at brockpage.com. And of course, if you're getting ready for the big college football national championship on Monday night like I am, well, you may want to think about signing up for my college football tier package picks on that very same website, where we are currently 6-1 in our last 7 picks in that category. Now, guys, real quick, we also have a package called the board member tier. And the best part about the board member package is that it gives you access to every single pick that I give out on that website all the way through the end of January. So if you were to sign up for my board member tier here today, the math would work out to be just $2.08 a day. And I'll tell you what, on an average of 5 total premium picks per day, it actually ends up working out to an average of just about 42 cents a pick if you ended up signing up today. And of course, if you're still on the fence about getting a package on my safe and secure website, just keep in mind, guys, that we currently have over 820 members who are currently signed up and active on that site right now. All right, enough with the commercial. Let's go ahead and dive into the free picks. We're going to start with the Grizzlies taking on the Clippers, and that's going to be a 3:30 p.m. Eastern start time. Now, Memphis is -2 with the total at 213.5. The Red Hot Grizzlies have won their last 7 straight, 6-1 against the spread during that winning streak. Now, Memphis has also been really good on the road this season, winning 12 of 18 contests away from their home court. And they're also successfully covering the number in over 72% of those road contests. Dillon Brooks is averaging almost 20 points a game, along with 3 rebounds and a couple assists. Meanwhile, teammate Jaren Jackson Jr., well, he's scoring 16 points a game himself, along with 4 boards and 5 assists. Now, the Grizzlies are arguably one of the best rebounding teams in the entire NBA. They actually rank first in the NBA in offensive rebounding, and they're in the top 3 in road defensive rebounding as well. They're squaring off against a Clipper team who lost 7 out of their last 10 themselves, and they're actually covering the point spread in just 39% of their home games. And when it comes to rebounding in this one, well, the Clippers are actually amongst the worst rebounding teams in the Western Conference. They currently find themselves in the bottom 10 in offensive rebounding, and they're also in the bottom 3 in defensive rebounding as well. So a lot of disparities when it comes to rebounding. I think the Clippers are going to get completely dominated underneath the boards here today. Now, injury-wise, Hartenstein, Kennard, and Preston are all still out. Meanwhile, Zubac is questionable. And then for Memphis on the other side of things, Adams and Terry are out for them. Morant, Bane, Anderson, Concher, Tillman, and Pons are questionable as well. Now, when it comes to the total in this one, Memphis saw their last 5 straight all fall under the posted number. They also went 80% to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, the Clippers on the other side of things, they went 60% to the under in their last 10 ball games themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Memphis Grizzlies -2 and the under 213.5. Next matchup, it is going to be Jazz versus the Pacers, and that's going to be a 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Utah is -2.5 with the total at 222. But despite being favored in this one, Utah's actually got themselves a ton of key guys on the injury report here today. Mitchell, Conley, Gay, Gobert, Clarkson, Bogdanovich, Ingles, and O'Neal. They're all listed as questionable to play in tonight's contest. And I'll tell you what, even when they're mostly healthy, the Jazz really aren't that great of a covering team. They failed to cover in 7 out of their last 10 ball games, And they do currently have a losing record against the point spread overall for the season. Now they're taking on an Indiana team who's been doing a pretty nice job covering the point spread themselves, despite their recent injury report. And as a matter of fact, the Pacers successfully covered the number in 3 out of their last 4 ball games, with successful covers over the likes of Brooklyn, Cleveland, and Chicago during that span. And when it comes to the scoring in this one, when it comes to the offense, Domantas Sabonis, he's scoring over 18.5 points a game, along with 11 boards and 4 assists. Meanwhile, Lance Stevenson scoring nearly 14 points a game through 3 outings himself. I don't know if we've ever mentioned his name on my programming, but if we did, it was probably like 3 or 4 years ago. But once again, Lance Stevenson, 14 points a game through 3 contests. Now, the Pacers currently have themselves a winning record at home despite their struggles this year. Indiana's also successfully covered the point spread in 62% of their contests at the Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Now, when it comes to the injury report, Lamb, Brogdon, and Duarte are questionable to play here tonight. Meanwhile, Jackson, Batazzi, Craig, LeVert, and Anderson are sitting this one out as well. And when it comes to the total in this one, the Pacers saw unders recently against New York, Charlotte, and Chicago. Meanwhile, 4 out of Utah's last 7 fell under the posted total themselves. 67% of the under in all of their road games. I'm going to lean toward Indiana plus 2.5 and the under 222. Next contest, it is going to be Bucks versus the Hornets. And that's going to be a 7 o'clock Eastern showdown. Should be a pretty fun one. Charlotte is -1 at home with the total at 234.5. And speaking of the total in this one, the Hornets saw their last 2 outings get over the posted number. And those were overs against the likes of Detroit and Washington. Now, the Hornets are also 10-5 to the over at the Spectrum Center this season. And that's good for 67% in that particular category. Meanwhile, the Bucks on the other side of things, well, they saw 6 out of their last 9 get over the line themselves, and those were overs against the likes of Toronto, New Orleans, and Orlando during that stretch. And as far as picking a winner goes for this game, well, this game's being featured as my NBA tier package pick on BrockPage.com here today. So if you want to see whether I like the Bucks to get the job done on the road here today, or if I like the Hornets to get it done in front of their home crowd, well, there's only one way to find out, and that is to sign up for my NBA tier package pick on BrockPage.com. And of course, the link for that pick is in the description section below. But as far as making a free pick goes for this contest here, well, looks like we're going to be making a lean on the total. And I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the over 234.5 in that ball game. All right, next contest I have for you, it is going to be in the 7 o'clock slate. I'm talking about the Magic versus the Pistons. And once again, that's going to be a 7 o'clock Eastern start time. Now, the Detroit Pistons are -2.5 with the total at 212. Now, the Pistons actually have had some pretty good success against Orlando in recent meetings. They got the W in 6 out of their last 10 contests against the Magic. And they also successfully covered the number in 70% of those contests. So when it comes to head-to-head meetings, it looks like the advantage goes to Detroit. Having said that, though, Detroit did lose 7 out of their last 10 ball games this year. And they're actually winning just 23% of their contests at the Little Caesars Arena. Now, when it comes to scoring, the Pistons have had a really hard time offensively this year. They're averaging only 101 points a game, and they currently find themselves dead last in the NBA in shooting from the field at home. Now, they're taking on a Magic team who successfully covered the number in 5 out of their last 9 ball games, believe it or not, with successful covers coming against the likes of Chicago, Boston, and Miami during that stretch. And as a matter of fact, we're looking at a Magic team who's one of the better road covering teams in the entire Eastern Conference. Orlando's actually 14-9 against the spread when they travel, and that's good for 61% in that particular category. So if you've been fading Orlando, which a lot of people do, you've been seeing a lot of losing tickets because these guys do a great job covering the number when traveling. Now, Terrence Ross is scoring over a dozen points a game, along with 2 rebounds and a couple assists. Meanwhile, Gary Harris is averaging nearly a dozen points a game himself, along with a couple of boards. And believe it or not, Orlando is currently in the top 3 in fourth quarter scoring on the road. Kind of a small number in this game here, but this is a team that always is a threat for that backdoor cover. Now, injury-wise, Lopez and Suggs are still out for the Magic. Carter, Anthony, and Wagner are questionable. Meanwhile, for Detroit on the other side of things, Grant and Livers are both still out. Joseph is questionable. And when it comes to the total in this one, Detroit actually saw 4 out of their last 7 ball games get over the posted number. They were also 60% to the over in their last 10 meetings with the Magic. Meanwhile, Orlando on the other side of things, they went 4-1 to the over in their last 5 themselves. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Orlando plus 2.5 in the over 212. Next ball game, it is going to be Knicks versus the Celtics, and that's going to be a 7:30 Eastern tip-off. Now, Boston is -7 with the total at 207.5. Despite being favored by a whole bunch of points in this one, Boston actually failed to cover in 5 out of their last 6 ball games, just 3 and 6 straight up in their last 9 as well. Now, the Celtics have struggled shooting the basketball a bit this season. They currently find themselves in the bottom 10 in the NBA in offensive field goal percentage, and they're also in the bottom 10 in shooting the 3 ball as well. Now, Pritchard and Thomas are both out for today's contest for the Celtics. They're taking on a Knicks team who won 5 out of their last 7 themselves, and they actually covered the number in 71% of those ball games. Pretty good basketball out of the Knicks here recently. Now, New York is allowing just 103 points per contest on the road. They currently find themselves in the top 3 in defensive field goal percentage away from home, and that's really been the strength of this Knicks organization over the past couple of years or so, is their ability to play defense. Now, scoring-wise, Julius Randle's averaging nearly 20 points a game, along with double-digit rebounds. Meanwhile, R.J. Barrett scoring over 15.5 points a night himself, along with 5 boards and a couple assists. Now, the Knicks have also rebounded the basketball quite well in their road trips. They're currently in the top 10 in both offensive and defensive rebounding away from home. When it comes to the injury report, Walker is out. Fournier and Noel are questionable. When it comes to the total in this one, 2 out of New York's last 3 ball games got over the line. Meanwhile, Boston saw overs recently with Orlando, Phoenix, and Milwaukee, during that short stretch. So with all that said and done, I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the New York Knicks plus 7 and the over 207.5. Next contest. It is going to be Heat versus the Suns, 9 o'clock Eastern start time. Phoenix is -8.5 with the total at 218. Now, the Suns successfully covered the number in their last 3 straight. And they also got the W in 7 out of their last 10. Phoenix is currently winning 81% of their home games. They're actually amongst the league leaders in scoring on average per game. Now, Devin Booker is averaging 23.5 points per contest, 5 boards, 4 assists a game for Book. Devin's also making 41% of his 3 balls. Meanwhile, Cameron Johnson is drilling nearly 45% of his 3-pointers himself. Double-digit points a game for the bench player. Now, the Suns are currently in the top 3 in the NBA in shooting from the field. Meanwhile, defensively on the other end of the court, they're allowing only 102 points a game in front of their home fans. Now, they're taking on a Miami squad who failed to cover in 4 out of their last 7 themselves. And they've actually struggled scoring points late in games. As a matter of fact, the Heat currently finds themselves in the bottom 10 in fourth quarter scoring on the road. So certainly keep that factor in mind if you're looking to back Miami plus the points. Now, they also have a handful of guys on the injury report here today. Haslam, Opala, Vincent, and Garrett, they are out. Not going to see them in action. Meanwhile, Jimmy Butler, he's questionable to play with an ankle. And of course, the Suns on the other side of things, they actually may have to go to work without Nader and Sarge, as both of those guys have been listed as questionable for today's ball game. But when it comes to the total in this one, Phoenix saw 3 out of their last 5 fall under the line. And those were unders against the likes of the Clippers, Charlotte, and OKC. Meanwhile, the Miami Heat on the other side of things saw games with Orlando and Detroit recently fall under the total themselves. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Phoenix minus 8.5 and the under 218. And with that, guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my website at brockpage.com, where we are currently 6-1 in our last 7 college football tier package picks. So if you're getting ready for the national championship, you may want to think about signing up for that. But anyway, I like Memphis minus 2, under 213.5. Indiana plus 2.5, under 222. I like the over 234.5 in the Milwaukee-Charlotte game. Give me Orlando plus 2.5, over 212. I like the New York Knicks plus 7, over 207.5. And with my next and final free pick for the video, I'm going to lean toward Phoenix minus 8.5 and the under 218. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on brockpage.com. If you guys do end up getting a membership here today on that website, just keep in mind, you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a membership here today on my website, you're going to get access to those picks all the way through the end of January. I always tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Saturday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at brockpage.com.